Hey, what's up guys, it's Sendo here. Ragoozer, the developer of Deepwoken, just released a massive Google document, which answers a lot of common questions that people may have about the game. I'm going to be summarizing the most important points and telling you what you need to know about this info release. First, let's start off with transactions. The first thing that Ragoozer mentions is that the game's access will be 400 Robux at release. He doesn't mention any potential discounts, but in Rogue Lineage, as the game progressed, he offered some discounts on the game during certain months. Moving on, Ragoozer mentions character slots. Character slots will be the same as having a different save file on different games. Each slot will be independent of one another, which means that their race will be different and the progression on the account will also be different. You start with one character slot, but you can buy more character slots and the price of them will be less than the access for the game, which encourages people to make character slots rather than purchase old accounts. Next, he talks about paid items. He mentions that there are race rerolls, which do the same thing as in Rogue, they just reroll the race of your character. Other aspects of character customization will be free and you don't have to pay for that. These could include race-specific cosmetics, such as those that we see in these pictures of these Lightborns. One has a halo on his head and the other has a halo behind his neck. Staying on the topic of cosmetics, Ragoozer mentions that hair and accessories will work the same way as in Rogue Lineage. It will just copy your Roblox avatar. Let's move on to the topic of progression. Ragoozer says that the game has a healthy mix between short and long-term progression, which makes sure that you always feel like you're getting more stronger as you play the game. Things like stat points might be more long-term progression, while getting an immediate item might be an example of a short-term progression. Ragoozer also mentions that you can progress with your friends. He says there are systems in place which help you to do this. This will probably mean that it's easier to play the game and progress as a group. Ragoozer mentions that the spell and skill creation in Deepwoken is a lot different than other games. You won't be able to make skills from menus, instead you have to interact with the world in order to make these spells. He mentions that there are also other cool powers and abilities that you can get outside of spells. These could be items similar to like artifacts in Rogue Lineage. He partially tells us how the wiping system will work in Deepwoken. Players will be allowed to pass down 2 items to their next character when they wipe. This challenges you to gather stronger items while you're still progressing. However, if you wipe lots of times in a short period of time, then you aren't going to be punished too hard as you'll still have the 2 strong items to carry over to your next life. Next, we'll talk about races in Deepwoken. Races will not be anywhere near as significant to your build as in Rogue. This means that you're not locked into a certain playstyle or build just because you got a certain race. They will just give you minor buffs, which complement your playstyles. Additionally, he mentions that there is a possibility that new races could be added during future content updates. Another thing that could be added during future content updates is domain expansions, which means increasing the size of the map. Next, Ragoozer talks about how the game is optimized to reduce lag. He first mentions that they are using Roblox streaming system, which allows them to have a bigger map with as little lag as possible. They also have plans to add a low graphics mode, which allows slower computers to run the game easier. The server size will be around 25 players per server, but this could increase if the game is less laggy. Next, let's move on to combat in Deepwoken. The game will not have any one-shot combos, but if it does, then they'll be patched immediately. In Deepwoken, you can choose between PvE and PvP at any given moment, and you'll be rewarded for killing stronger players. As for NPCs, they might be a bit harder than Rogue, but they'll be more fair and fun to fight. You'll probably have to worry more about parrying abilities and dodging abilities, rather than worrying about Shriekers infinitely stunning you. Next, let's move on to player standing. The game can be more cooperative if you want it to be, which means that you have the option to work with other players, or you can be solo and be aggressive. Ragoozer mentions that there is no alignment, which is like the orderly and chaotic system in Rogue Lineage. Instead, you'll have reputation with individual factions, If you help them with missions or favors, then they will like you and you'll have good standing with them. If you kill them or commit crimes against them, then they won't like you. There will be no safe mode in Deepwoken, but what will happen is that NPCs in the towns will want to uphold the law, so they will probably help you if they see you getting attacked by a stranger. Moving on, let's talk about the map in Deepwoken. If you log out at sea on a boat, you'll be able to spawn back with your boat in the middle of the sea, and you'll also be able to spawn with allied ships. Ragoozer says that bad things will happen at sea. This will probably be natural disasters like storms, and it could also be things like monsters attacking your ship. Deepwoken's map will be split into two worlds. One of them is half the size of Gaia, and the other one is double the size of Gaia. There will also be more islands added in future updates. Let's move on to the final part of this video. Rag confirms that there will be world events, which will be things like pirate fleets raiding your ship. If you want to learn more about this, then I've done a separate video on this, so go check that out. Rag mentions that we'll be able to learn more about the lore of the game as we play it, rather than having the information being given to us. Finally, Rag hints that the release date of the game will be in fall 2021. This is any time between the months of September, October and November. I was hoping that the game could have come out a bit earlier, but at least we were getting some extra insight as to when we can actually expect the game to release. It's 2 AM at the time of recording this video, and if I sound tired then I apologize for that. As I was recording this video, Ragoozer actually posted a second Google Doc, which contains pictures and other important information about the game. I'll be doing a video on that, so be sure to turn notifications on and subscribe to my channel if you want to see that. Thanks for watching guys, and peace out.
They say I'm way too obsessed and I've got nothing left, and I'm not quite there yet, but those words they'll regret, cause I've got something left and I'm not giving in. I will not let them win, I won't stop till the end, no.